Hi, my name's Tony and this is my speed drawing video. Today I am just doing a quick little piece from my sketchbook of some Celtic dragons and what I would like to think is some kind of summoning figure there. Just gonna try and test out a few new techniques that I saw online. Just kind of practicing. But I'm also gonna tell you a story from my first year of college. So my first year of college, we only had one reading week, and it was in February. And a few of the art students had all decided that we were going to meet up at my friend Jordan's apartment and hang out and watch movies, have a few drinks, just like kick off the reading week with a bit of a bang. That was like adventurous for us. One of the kids who was in my program used to be in culinary, so he decides he's going to make French fries. A few of us help him peel potatoes and everything, and he's got this big vat of like vegetable oil to fry them in and a big pot, and he had brought a mandolin, which is like this little cutter thingy, to cut the potatoes into perfect fries. And I felt bad for making him do all of the cooking and, having to do all the chopping and stuff, and I had already helped peeled, but I was worried about him, doing this all by himself. He had already had a few drinks. I was a little worried. So I offered to help and he was like, it's cool, it's fine. Like, I can do this. I'm good. I'm not there yet. But, if you really do want to help, you could cut the potatoes. So I was like, okay, that's not a huge deal. Like, I'd never used a mandolin. My mom had, and she was convinced these things were evil. She had nicked herself a few times trying to use one. And eventually just threw it out. She was like, no. And she had banned us from ever, even handling it. Like, if it was in the dishwasher and we were unloading, you couldn't touch it. You had to wait for mom to come and take it out because, the pieces were dangerous or something. So, I had never used it. But at that moment, I was about to cut potatoes with this mandolin. And the guy turns around and he's like, don't bother using a guard. Just be careful with your hands. So I start carefully kind of, chopping these potatoes, and I had had a few drinks myself, so I was drunk and trying to chop these potatoes, and it took a lot more force than I was expecting, but I was kind of getting into the rhythm of it. And then I hear what I thought was my friend off in the corner yell something or try to get my attention, so I look up to see what's happening, and instant regret. I felt pain. And at first, I thought I had lightly, sliced a little bit of the skin off my thumb. It's not a huge deal, but I'm panicking anyway because I'm already, drunk. I'm drunk. So I stick it in my mouth, being the genius that I was, because, you shouldn't do that even with the smallest cut. But I stick it in my mouth because I'm like, I don't even want to look at this. I'm just going to stick it in my mouth until it scabs over, is my thinking, which is completely stupid, but that's what I did at that moment. And my friend Jordan, who owns the apartment, was like, oh, did you cut yourself? Are you okay? Let's wash it off. You're going to be fine. And she was worried she was going to take a look. So without really looking, because I didn't want to see the blood at that point. Not that I'm bad with blood. I'm fine with blood. But this is drunk, panicky Tony at the moment who's like, oh God, I cut myself. So I put it under the tap without really looking. And I'm kind of shaking at it because there's a lot of blood coming off with the tap. So I thought maybe there was a lot of blood just on my thumb. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm going to shake the blood off. But it just kind of kept going. And we had this tap on full blast. But as soon as it was hitting my thumb and then running off, it was just red. It was no longer clear. So my friend Jordan kind of takes a peek and she sees my artery basically and quickly shuts off the tap and starts freaking out. And there's blood spewing out of my thumb. And this shocks everyone in here because I'm like, holy crap, my thumb. And everybody's just sent off into a panic. So eventually I'm given a towel and I wrap it up. And the one kid was in the culinary was like, oh, this happens all the time. I saw this in my program before. Just wait a little while. It should stop. You should be fine. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just being a wuss right now. It'll be fine. Just give me a few minutes and I'll get up off the floor and I'll pretend this never happened. No, my friend Jordan insists on calling the ambulance after a while because I keep bleeding at this point. Like it's just, I've turned a dark green towel pretty much black with my blood, like a red black. It's on the floor, it's in the sink, it's on dishes, it's everywhere. I sent 3 other girls from my program into anxiety attacks at this point. Everyone's freaking out. Somebody calls an ambulance and I'm carted away with these 3 paramedics who are, you know, laughing and joking and holding the severed piece of my thumb, which they had fished out from the mandolin with all the potatoes, and just laughing. And I'm just walking next to the gurney and we end up going to the hospital. And on the ambulance ride over, I end up bleeding through 3 or 4 gauzes basically because they kept wrapping my thumb, and then the guy would be given a breath and he would turn to his buddy and he would look back and like all the gauze that he just put on and taped up was now soaked in my blood again. So he'd wrap it up and it was a whole mess. That entire back of the ambulance was a mess by the time we got to the hospital. And it wasn't even that long of a ride was the whole thing. Like it literally took us less than 5 minutes to get there. And when I get to the ER, they end up leaving me there to go get ice cream, which I appreciated because here's me panicking with a piece of my severed thumb and my coat jacket and just like bleeding through gauzes. Eventually, I get into a room with the doctor. It wasn't that long of a wait, but it felt like forever just sitting next to the nurse's station, just being like, I'm bleeding out, sir. Can I get the doctor, please? And eventually this kind of like rude, tired doctor, like he was working a late night shift at the ER in Oshawa. So like he's got all the rights to be grouchy. I don't blame him for any of this, but he kind of takes like one look at my wrapped up thumb that the paramedics had brought with them and he tossed it in the garbage. And I was like, aren't you gonna reattach it? And he's like, no. I was like, oh, okay. And already that has made it worse. Like I am just panicking to an extreme. And he's like, I'm gonna stick this needle in and I'm gonna freeze your thumb and I'm gonna sew you up and get you out. And I'm like, what? And he goes to jab this needle into my thumb and I flip out because I'm scared of both stitches and a needle. And he's trying to reason with me. He's like, if you don't get stitches, it's gonna take longer to heal. I end up kicking him in the face in my panic. They give me some kind of pills. My mom gets there. I'm chilled out, but I'm still freaking out. Eventually, I get over a dozen stitches in my thumb. And, you know, I just spent the rest of the reading week sitting in different corners of my house with my right thumb over my head to keep it from throbbing, just kind of hanging out, rebandaging it every once in a while. And yeah, my first college break I spent basically at home. My nails now warped. The tip of my thumb is pretty gnarly looking now. Like it used to be worse, but like I had no feeling in a part of my thumb. There's like this crescent moon lopsided shape, like of a just big pile of scar tissue with some little dots. Like my thumb is not a pretty sight anymore. And yeah, but yeah, that's one of my most, well, no, that's just one of my interesting stories from first year of college. Because honestly, there's like a ton of just weird and stupid things that happened that year. Yeah, but I think, you know, I'm gonna wrap this up for today. It's getting late, and I hope you enjoyed listening to my story and, you know, watching my little speed drawing here. I'll never be a hand model, but maybe one day I could be a YouTuber. #career goals. Anyway, signing off. Bye!